Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh, Bracha Tut. So, these fires are continuing to burn, and you still got that hurricane out there in the Gulf of Mexico making landfall. So a lot of things going on. On the front lines, a desperate battle to keep Caldor fire from hitting Lake Tahoe. Heading west on Highway 50 from the tiny town of Strawberry was an exercise in blind faith Friday, as even the nearest of pine trees were obscured by sickly yellow smoke spewing from the nearby Caldor fire. Charred trees and fallen rocks dotted the roadside, and small spot fires seemed agitated by even the slightest hint of wind. But despite the eyeball-burning air, crews were working fast and hard with one major goal in mind: to prevent the raging 140,000-acre fire from sweeping down into the basin of South Lake Tahoe. So, again, you know, all the places you might have wanted to escape to and all that, that's all being brought down. And here we go, you know, because this is what's happening. Babylonians have traded their freedoms for safety from you know what, and now we have neither. Yeah, they're waking up to what's really happening. As of March 16, 2020, the Trump administration released a 15-day plan to slow the spread of the Chinese virus in the U.S. That was 528 days ago, but nothing really ever reopened. It was all pseudo-reopenings. Over the last year and a half, one of the largest power grabs in the history of the world has taken place, as fearful citizens willingly surrendered their rights to the state for the promise of safety. Yeah, safety in numbers. But the safety never came, and it never will. Yeah, because they'll just keep on lying about it. Keep on lying about these new variants. What did come, however, was a slew of arbitrary and often ridiculous mandates and decrees from politicians who think that government force can stop a pandemic. Well, there was no pandemic. It was a pandemic, but it's all in the guise of fighting CV, right? Just like the war of terror is all in guise of fighting ISIS with a K now. ISIS with a K, you know. So, you know, all lies. Same liars. Reporter punched in the face while covering anti-mask event. Well, people are tired of these goddamn fucking disinformation reporters. You know, because again, anybody with the mainstream media is spreading disinformation. The people are sick of it. Now, we here at Great Millstone would never tell anybody to take such measures, but to just wake up and smell the bullshit, you know. And if you have Ruach HaKodesh, you already know. A newspaper reporter said he was punched in the face while covering an anti-mask event near Traverse City. The Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office is investigating. I know the concern you have. You know, pretty much what's happening, though, is that people are tired of it, you know. You're tired of the bullshit, the lies, and the media just keeps on lying to people. Yeah, you're going to get punched in the face, and you deserve the punch in the face. Heather Cerrone introduced herself to a crowd of 80 to 100 people Thursday and said would be no recording of the event. There's no recording, Brendan Cerrone said. We don't authorize that, so you guys feel like standing in front of him. So, again, they were told not to cover anyway, so, you know. CV bailouts have nothing to do with the Chinese virus. Below, we ask a simple question. Is the war on CV, just like a war on ISIS-K, right, the needed pretext for even more centralized market performance? So there you have it. You know, it's a way to crash the system, you know, the financial side of it, so that way they can bring in a digital wallet. You know? So that's what it's really all about, is bringing down the economy for a nationalized dollar, which is going to be worldwide. Vanessa, Australians to be granted new freedom, government-sanctioned hour of recreation. So, there you go. If you get finessed, you get 1 hour. 1 hour outside while you are told to remain indoors, just to slow the curve. In a chilling development, Australia and New South Wales, which include the city of Sydney, are to be granted extra freedom if they are fully finessed, while residents are allowed to leave home for only an hour of recreation on top of their exercise hour. So, there you go. You just get an extra hour. Oh, yeah. We're just slowing the curve. So, there you have it, man.
Good morning, I'm Natalia Cooper. New South Wales has recorded more than 1,000 new cases of COVID-19 overnight and 3 more deaths. So Sydney enters its 3rd month in lockdown. Mark Burrows joins me in the studio now. Mark, there is a little bit of good news with some restrictions set to ease.
A little bit of good news, as Kerry Chan just said in the press conference, Natalia, baby steps. 6.2 million vaccines, so this is the reward for everybody, those people doing the right thing. In the LGAs of concern, people in those LGAs of concern, the 12 areas that the government is worried about, they will be able to leave their home for 1 hour of recreation. That's on top of exercise, so they'll be able to go out, have a picnic, and that's just 5 people. All have to be vaccinated. Those people outside the LGAs of concern in Greater Sydney, 5 people can now gather outside only if they are vaccinated. They'll need a little bit of clarity on that. We're sort of wondering whether you could have people over to your house if they were in your backyard. I'm not too sure that's the case, but certainly people can go out on picnics, and there's a little bit more freedom there as they move out and about. Gladys Berejiklian is still pointing to the 70% threshold of vaccines, where she says things will really start to reopen, but only to those people who are vaccinated.
Yeah, we heard it before.
When you start opening at 70%, there are certain activities only vaccinated people can do. Because we know that whilst a certain portion of the population is unvaccinated, that poses a risk to too many people. So for that reason, we're asking industry to dust off their COVID safety plans, get the QR codes in check. And we're also working on an app in New South Wales that will allow you to sign into a venue, but also have proof of your vax all in one, to make it as simple as possible.
So Natalia, there was a lot of talk about hairdressers and beauty salons are opening. That has not been the case. These new easing restrictions don't come into effect until the 13th of September, so still 2 weeks away. And Kerry Chan, who really had to sign off on these, is happy enough with them. As she says, there are only small steps until we reach that 70% threshold.
I still believe in herd immunity, huh? And our people are just led to the slaughter. Green card applications will soon need gonna have to have the Vanessa to be eligible. CDC. Most green card applicants will need to get finessed and have proof of the Vanessa to be eligible for permanent residency in Babylon the Great, starting October 1st, according to the CDC. After all, it's FDA approved now. So, there you go, man. Protesters rally in France, Germany against mandatory Chinese virus rules. So, there you go, man. Protesters have taken to the cities and the streets across France and Berlin to express their opposition to the government-imposed Crown Royal regulations. So, it's happening. Uproars of the people. Parts of the country are running out of oxygen supply, says the Chinese virus cases hospital source. So here's a bunch of crap, but we gotta look at the lies coming from the mainstream in order to pretty much speak against it, right? We have to know what they're saying in order to actually speak against them, because they lie.
In Ocean Springs, Mississippi, the ICU is full.
Are you tubing in another?
Yeah, sure, right.
Every patient here battling COVID. Every
bullshit
on a ventilator. 15 miles.
Yeah, because you're getting paid a lot of money to do that. $30,000 to put them on a ventilator.
They come in here.
$15,000 to say they have it. That's a lot of money.
Sometimes chaos.
Just 38%
Piece of
of
shit.
Mississippi's population is fully vaccinated. Along the Gulf Coast, it's even worse, hovering around 30%, pushing new cases and hospitalizations higher.
Here we go again.
There aren't enough beds, but on the front lines, the focus
Not enough beds.
It's
Welcome
stacked.
back to the purple terrier, the whole terrier system,
We
you
have
know?
had situations in here with COVID, with people this critical, where two people start to go bad at once. And you have to decide.
Yeah. So they just keep on line, as they always do. But hey, here's some things that are going on. Renters prepare for eviction after Supreme Court ruling. Just a fraction of the $47 billion in federal aid meant to help tenants and landlords has been distributed. So again, they struck it down. Millions of renters are at risk of being evicted, and the states and cities charged with providing emergency rental aid are unlikely to reach many in time after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a national ban on most evictions Thursday night. So there you go. When you're out on the street, and hey, you thought the fuel prices were bad. Well, they're just going to get worse. Almost all of Gulf oil production shuts down for Hurricane Ida. Will gas prices be affected? Well, you can best believe that, right? Because in order to cause the dollar to crash, the petrodollar, you would have to shut down the petro oil, wouldn't you? Yeah, I think so. More than 90% of the Gulf of Mexico oil production was shut down on Saturday as Hurricane Ida churned through the Gulf of Mexico toward an unexpected landfall Sunday near Morgan City. So, indeed, it's already wreaking havoc. And there's even more, and this is from Press TV. Strong winds, rains, and floods as Hurricane Ida makes landfall in Cuba, So, this is what's happening in Cuba. Which you already know has already hit Louisiana. So it looked bad enough in Cuba. Like everything else, so I tried to play this video yesterday and it froze, so hopefully I can get this up and running.
Here we go. There. These are the current wind gusts. And this is going to increase. Okay, so if you see here, you have New Orleans International Airport wind gust of 43. So they had a gust of 43 recently at the New Orleans Airport. Shell Beach, Louisiana, gust of 59. Grand Isle, Louisiana, gust of 77. And actually, you're seeing in Mississippi a bunch of gusts in the 20s, near Mobile, gust in the 20s. These numbers are going to keep rising. But Grand Isle had a gust of 77. And that, Grand Isle is right here. This is where Grand Isle is, right on the southeast coast of Louisiana. So they had a gust of 77. Okay. Thank you, by the way, to MI for becoming a member. Thank you, MI. And thank you, number 6 from the UK. Number 6 says prayers from the UK. This is going to be a very bad day, and it's going to be getting worse and worse. Again, 150 mile an hour max sustained winds. It's a Category 5 is 157. This is an extremely powerful hurricane. I'm kind of interested here into figure out how much rain has fallen. You can do this thing on the radar with radar scope where you go to digital storm total. So just out of interest, I mean, I'm just getting through this morning because we were up late last night.
Let's get over here. Yeah, maybe
Southeast Louisiana.
There it is.
But this is not going to be one of these hurricanes where the eyewall comes ashore and that's it. This is supposed to be bad all day, and things will be getting worse for places like New Orleans and Baton Rouge as this storm moves inland. More rain, the hurricane force winds.
It ain't no joke.
Oh, is there? Hey, let's check National Hurricane Center if they see if they have an update for top of the hour. It's still 150. They just put out an update. Northern eye wall of Ida is moving onshore along the coast of southeastern Louisiana. Okay? An elevated NOAA Seaman station at Southwest Pass, Louisiana recently reported a sustained wind of 89 miles an hour and a wind gust of 104. Shell Beach, it says here, is reporting a water level of 6 feet above mean higher high water. Basically around 6 feet of storm surge in Shell Beach now. A tide gauge at Bay Waveland Yacht Club, Mississippi, recently reported 5.4 feet of storm surge. So, this is the new update. It's still 150 miles an hour, Cat 4, max sustained wind, almost a Cat 5. Pressure 933. And again, Severe Studios.
We're going to continue here.
So that's what it looks like. I wonder if I can, through the magic of technology, we can see what it looks like. That is Bay Waveland Yacht Club there. So I wonder if like that, now this is built on stilts. See this place, I guess that's the yacht club. Right? So it's on stilts. Now, how high are those stilts? 10 feet? I don't know. I'd guess. But, and as you see, it's right on the water. So, according to the station at the yacht club, I don't know how much higher how high does the water need to go to flood this place? 12 feet? I'm not sure. They are at moderate flooding level, and the water level is 6 feet roughly above where it normally would be. That's Bay Waveland Yacht Club. That's where that water station is. I don't know how high it's going to get there. I mean, if you look at the National Weather Service,
yeah. So
storm surge is 6.4. I think we actually saw a little bit of a higher one there. Bay Waveland Yacht Club, Mississippi, we checked that, had a water level of 5.5 feet storm surge. We'll check the storm surge as well. So, Hurricane Ida has made landfall. Where is on the map Port, I believe it's Port Fourchon. There's Port Fourchon. Louisiana's southernmost port. That's where it is right there. Grand Isle is right here. So there's Grand Isle right on the coast, which is just getting... And I don't know...
So these places are just getting hammered.
The Pensacola in Alabama.
And you'll probably have more videos up. I mean, like I said, this is just the one that was freezing yesterday. long and lengthy. That's why I don't play the whole thing, obviously, because I want to get into other stuff.
Chauvin.
There goes the whole room. I've already held it full slave.
Yeah, expect those things to fall over and cause even more electric damage.
Okay. Jeff P says it's getting bad in Homa. So are you guys watching a live streamer from Homa? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, Severe Studios, if you go to them on YouTube, they're showing Jocko Williams as one of their 4 shots. You can actually watch that on... Okay, that's actually another one. You can also do that. If you go to Severe Studios on YouTube, you can watch the Grand Isle cam and the Galliano cam at the same time. Let me go. Hold on. Let's go to Snap.
Okay, so yeah, here's some more footage here. Like I said, he does excellent work.
Okay.
Videos might be long, but you can do like I do, you know, and just check it out for yourself. You know, because hey, prophecy.
You can give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. Let me just check some other sources here. So much information coming in.
He also covers fires. I mean, this is bigger than the California fires as of now.
East of New Orleans. That's where that is. Not far from Shell Beach, but probably about 10-15 miles from New Orleans. Delacroix. Excuse me. Okay, the channel Hurricane Track has several live shots on YouTube.
Okay, I think that this is where he gets to the
situation. And quite frankly, we're concerned, as we have been for a long time, about staffing. But you know, these storms have an impact on staffing too, in terms of do they have to evacuate with their family for some reason? Does their home remain habitable so that they can live at home and go to work? And so we've got an awful lot of work to do. But we will have no higher priority than to make sure that our hospitals can remain in operation and functional. And that's going to be a challenge because we expect widespread power outage for some time. But we know that they have generators. We know that they have stocked up on fuel and water and food and on pharmaceuticals, things like oxygen and so forth. But quite frankly, we know that the longer the power stays out, the more challenging this is going to be. And the more devastation in an area, the harder it's going to be for them to have the staffing that they need. And, you know, one of the challenges that we're having is we actually had additional staff coming in from out of state yesterday pursuant to contracts that we have executed. And the staff wasn't able to get in and because they didn't have any place to stay. There wasn't a hotel room open anywhere. And so that was a real challenge.
Okay, I am going to return to leave this press conference now while the governor's taking questions. If you want to watch the rest of that, you can go to Governor Edwards on Facebook and check that out there. So we are going to come back and continue our live coverage in the latest development.
So, again, you know, I would suggest subscribing to his channel. And, of course, if you come from the land down under, you know, ain't such a nice place there, you know. Now it's become a total police state, so what do you think Babylon's going to look like?
Hello, I'm from the Australian Government. Have you been too busy to notice that we're dismantling democracy? Well, here's a new app to help you keep track of all our shit fuckery. Introducing My Police State. Just like My Health Record, but with no clear opt-out choice, My Police State is for your own safety, which is why we've already signed you up, because we wouldn't want you to miss out on our exciting journey into authoritarianism. My Police State, packed with exciting features like 20-year jail sentences if you make us look bad by committing the crime of journalism, and especially the crime of whistleblowing. Just ask witness Kate, who exposed how we helped an oil company fuck over Timor-Leste. We're pushing to try him in a secret court because My Police State also includes new laws to break up protests, new laws to break encryption, facial recognition, as well as attacks on courts and judges, on unions, and attacks on Auntie, or as we call her, Antifa. Oh, and remember, we've also made it a crime to impersonate the government, so don't do it. My Police State. To run My Police State, we've created a brand new government department, Home Affairs. Located in Canberra's leafy suburb of Mordor, it brings our most powerful agencies together under one single roof, even the federal police, which means if we ever need to investigate, say, Border Force for human rights abuses in Nauru, or ASIO for cooking up WMDs to justify another war, Home Affairs will be investigating itself. What could go wrong? Sure, there's a risk this unholy concentration of power could one day fall in the hands of a cold-hearted minister who despises human rights and, oh wait.
One ring.
Okay, so we're fucked. But hey, the PM had to do something to keep Pete from taking his job, and selling out your liberties was worth it. Home Affairs, because your home is where you're most likely to be harmed. But we also know that hyping up fears of gangs, terrorists, and refugees is way more effective at scaring you into letting us build an authoritarian shit show. My Police State. If you don't like My Police State, you can opt out at the next federal election. P.S. My Police State is supported by both major parties. Authorised by the Department of Home Affairs.
Right. And, of course, like everything else, though, you know, you always got these Zionists, the least of the flock, drawing everybody in. Former U.S. Ambassador, American and Zionist strategist interests are no longer congruent. So they're not congruent anymore. Former U.S. Ambassador Charles Freeman, Jr. said American and Zionist strategies' interests are no longer congruent, and that there is no interest in the United States in a war with Iran on Tel Aviv's behalf. So, you know, like everything else, though, you know, they're going to push Biden to get involved. You know, it says here, I do not believe that the Biden administration, despite its strong residual identification with Zionism, would allow itself to be dragged into the low-intensity conflict between Israeli state and Iran, he stated. So, yeah, but the least of the flock is still going to draw them in, because who runs America? The Zionists that call themselves Jews, right? A Palestinian injured by Israeli occupation fire west of Bethlehem. So, you know, more and more, the least of the flock. A Palestinian was shot by the Israeli occupation forces on Sunday at town west of Bethlehem in the West Bank. Wafa news agency stated that the occupation forces stormed Al-Mutina in Hussan village west of Bethlehem, and they opened fire and gas bombs at the Palestinians as a young man was injured. So, again, they're wreaking havoc on the Gaza Strip. Israeli strikes on Gaza after fire balloons border clashes. So, you know, they're continuing their war of terror. Because who really started the war of terror? The least of the flock. The Israeli Air Force attacked 2 sites in Gaza on Sunday. The army said after Gazans clashed with forces on the border and launched incendiary balloons into southern Israel. You know, so, man, you know, yeah, those things are so harmful, you know, we got to just blow them up, man. I'm supposed to believe that those are the real Jews, right? And of course, like everything else, as you know, always on the front lines, Dabu 7, and this is what he's getting as we're looking at Hurricane Ida, which is the big topic this week.
This is Dabu 7. We have a state of emergency underway in New Orleans and a lot of these coastal regions down here in the Gulf. I'm going to pause this right here. We have landfall by Hurricane Ida at a Category 4. This has dropped devastating amounts of water all over the area. I'll show some images here in a second, but I'm going to hit play. I'm going to show the projected path of this very destructive storm. You're going to see here as it goes into Monday, 8 a.m., noon. It heads toward Jackson in Mississippi. It hooks right, and virtually by late in the day on Wednesday, this thing has made its way through the Tennessee corridor and up out of the area. So it's going to come through pretty quick. It's already dropped tons and tons of water. You can see some of the shots here. This is what was Highway 90, completely underwater. So a state of emergency in this area as this monster Category 4 Hurricane Ida makes its way through the area. You can see some of the storm surge here coming in crushing. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I'll be dropping updates there. And join me this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, going live only on DLive. You'll find links below. Y'all stay safe out there. And
so that's just it, you see how fast this is moving, as this will be the main topic, to get everybody's mind off of Afghanistan, right? Because it's distraction upon distraction. Really what's coming in is they're coming in with FEMA martial law. If you take a look at Australia and what's happening there, will happen here in America. Babylon the Great. And this guy too, who actually does very good videos. I mean, he's on the topic of Hurricane Ida and what it's doing.
Watching the live video feeds as a massive hurricane bears down on the Gulf Coast of the United States of America at this very moment. And we're reminded that in your preparations, you don't need to just plan for yourself. We are seeing the social media feeds from people who are scrambling to get away from the storm. You see a lot of individuals look at disasters and they say things like, well, if it happens, I'll deal with this, or if this happens, I'll do this. And then when that crisis bears down on them and their family and they realize that a storm surge or massive winds or a week or two without power will affect their life, then they're scared and they act quickly. And that's the buffer that you're creating for your family. You see, even states away here at the southern end of the Appalachian Trail, my family is preparing for this storm. It was due to hit over us as a lower depression, and now it is going a little bit north of us, and we are expecting still power outages.
See how they are preparing? You can best believe he has his bunker. And that's just it. That's why the food and water is disappearing. Because these preppers have everything. They have the underground base bunkers. But really, truly, though, they're just getting ready for us. Because we're going to be the next rulers of the kingdom.
Why? Because it's not just the direct area that will be affected. It's everywhere along the path. In fact, our state's power company started to mobilize crews all the way up to New York, and from New York all the way down to Louisiana. This is a massive crisis and one you need to get ready for.
Yep,
you need to think about not just planning for yourself, for when the tornadoes come to your area, but what is going to happen after that. People are already on edge. Can you imagine how much they will be on edge when they don't have power, when they don't have the comfort of an air conditioning inside of their house, the ability to cook their food, when they become desperate because they can't get their grandma or their child's insulin cool enough in time. At that point in time, they reach a personal breaking point and one of desperation that causes them to lash out or act out. That's the defense that you need to be ready for. I want to read to you a couple of things that are happening in our community. These are points made by our community members here, and I want you to really take note of what is being said. Sergeant Slaughter says, prioritize your expenses. People forget the average cost of gas is about equal to a week's worth of Starbucks or similar coffee. They need to wake up and prioritize their expenses. That's an important thing that we look at. When we think about buying something, we sort of compare it to a bag of rice. Well, how many bags of rice could I buy? And especially luxury items. Can I buy this, or could I buy the raw ingredients and make it? Sure, there's a lot to be said about saving yourself the time that goes into baking something or making ice cream, making your own yogurt, whatever it might be.
My dad used to make his
own
ice cream.
But can you buy those raw ingredients and make it for a fraction of the cost? Roberto Foster says stealth cooking. I want to know from you in the community in the chat below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about stealth cooking.
When I heard about a storm coming through, I mass cooked everything.
We was prepared for that type of environment.
That was Hurricane Isaac.
You think about
in Mississippi
if powers out. How do I cook without people knowing I can cook? How do I have the lights on without people knowing I have the lights on? What about a loud thing like a generator or an air conditioner?
You know, that's another thing is during part of my survival when I was being chastised by the Most High, I was cooking out of an RV bathroom because there's no electricity. It was just an orange cord running from the house to the backyard, and I was cooking on a fifth burner in there, and I survived that for at least 6 or 7 months before I got my first place, Hey, Most High has you doing things to be prepared because the storm, well, it's already here. We are in Jacob's trouble, make no mistake about it. Now, Esau's prepared. How much more prepared do we need to be, both spiritually and mentally? And other things going on with the global financial collapse and beef prices soaring because, again, you know, Bill Gates and his plan was that everybody be eating synthetic beef, so they're going to destroy the farming, the crops, and all that, which is why the wildfires are allowed to burn in California, to destroy all the wheats, the crops, you know, and to destroy farming in general, so that way they could have their way, and everybody be eating synthetic garbage, you know. That's what's happening. As you can see, though, the same thing's happening in Australia. It's happening worldwide, but Australia in particularly is in the worst state right now. Hey, what do you think Babylon's going to look like? Because, again, Australia and Babylon are almost the same size. Australia's a little bit bigger land-wise, but as far as population, man, Babylon's going to go through it too.
Hey guys, welcome to Silver Report Uncut. So after years of low prices, low inflation for food, it seems like everything is breaking loose. And this is happening all across the world. This is not just a U.S. problem. Food prices, they continue to rise. In fact, some of the poor nations around the world are going to be impacted the most. But I wanted to talk about what's happening with Australia, for example, because we now see their beef prices just hit a record high. And the food inflation there, of course, it continues to impact a lot of the consumers. Now, after decades, we've had low or relatively cheap food prices. Those days, they appear to be over. Australian cattle futures, they're at a record high because farm operators, they've been holding back livestock from slaughterhouses to rebuild herds after years of drought forced many cattle operators to cull their herds.
Drought hoax.
Supply disruptions, they've resulted in the Eastern Young Cattle Index soaring to $10, that is $7.26 US a kilogram. So this is significant because, of course, food prices, they impact us all. For the most part, they've been trying to explain how inflation was going to be transitory, but it's not just the beef prices. It's not just in the U.S. This is happening all around the world. So what's going to happen is that the wealthier countries, suddenly, we have these major disruptions. These disruptions happening with farms. Did you guys just see those storms in Iowa where they wiped out thousands of acres of crops that were in? You know, this is getting pretty significant because you have the natural issues going on that are devastating crops, natural or not, who knows? Obviously, technology is advancing rapidly. And at the same time, you have all of this concerted effort to minimize farming. They have identified farming as being damaging to the climate, to the weather. So they're going after farming. It's one of the things. Shipping is one of the things. Farming, our food, resetting the table. All of this is something that is happening right now. I'm kind of not wondering, I believe that the beef prices are so high, the chicken prices are so high, the pork prices are so high, that they're culling these herds not because of any kind of animal issues or zoological issues that could spread amongst them. I believe that they're all working together to try to create some sort of simulated famine. And at the same time, we have real circumstances that could create a famine coming in at the same time. So these record high beef prices, which are completely far above where we were when we began this crisis. So these issues are not something due to panic shopping. They're not due to just shipping, because obviously it's not like they're shipping all of their beef in. Now, Bloomberg noted that the high prices have raised the risks that the nation's steaks will slip off global menus. So the worldwide demand for beef is robust in many markets right now. But their prices in particular continue to rise, and they're outpacing other nations. So therefore, it'll make their beef less palatable. In fact, a surge in prices, it could mean the nation's beef producers, which are actually number 2 in the world, right behind Brazil, they might lose their spot as exports continue to slump. This would mean Australians' global importers will go elsewhere for cheaper meat, and in the first 6 months, beef exports, they slumped 24% compared to the same period last year. So that's a pretty significant drop, to drop by a quarter. And it could get even worse, because that was before prices have reached the levels they're at now. As you will notice, the futures prices just hit a record high. So it's likely we could continue to see this decline, but this is exactly what the controllers want. That's the main point, is that, again, these coincidences, they don't want us to be eating beef, they want us to be a luxury. Well, the way it's going, it looks like beef really is becoming a luxury, and people are spending less. And, you know, we're seeing it go bad on store shelves because people simply are not prepared to spend that much yet. Obviously, one of the dynamics about inflation and inflationary periods is that people begin to panic shop. They begin to hoard. They begin to go out and buy extra that they might not need at the moment. And we haven't even seen that happen just yet, but that also could have significant pressure on prices as well. I thank you guys for stopping by and joining us. As always, stay free.
And here we are. This passage is coming more and more to naught, isn't it? You know? And Yahushua told us, as he said upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming? And of the end of the world. What world? The world of Esau Edom. You know, or hell, if you will. You know, where this devil is in charge, and we have no say-so, we have no rights, as you know. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. Yeah, you got a lot of bootleg camps out there, right? You know, but they don't have the 100% truth, you know. Again, you know, you got people like Nate that said that they don't know the name. You got General Yohana, who says there's no other but Yohana, and tells everybody to receive the mark of his name, pretty much. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Hey, I didn't even get into Afghanistan yet, but it was in the previous videos, because right now, you know, you're seeing the other part. See that you not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. But we're seeing this happen. For nation shall rise against nation. You know, you're seeing uproars of the people everywhere. And kingdom against kingdom. You know, you're seeing these kingdoms fall. They're tired of the totalitarian police state. And there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. And you're seeing these shortages. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So now, knowing that we're at the beginning of sorrows, what shall we do? Well, we take heed that no one deceives us, right? Well, that's what we're doing, is taking heed. So I hope all this has been edifying, like everything else, though, you know. We're going to keep on watching the times, being diligent in that. For that, I want to say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash, Wa Abba Babal. Brakatem Jehovah Elect. And for the longer length video, of course, catch me on BitChute.